6-3, 6-4 in Berlin on grass. Then 6-3, 6-4 again in Washington on a hard court under the lights. Same two players. Same exact score. Completely different conditions. In tennis, that should immediately get your attention, because the surface underneath a player can change almost everything. Grass rewards quick reactions, flatter shots, and early contact. Hard courts, especially at night, can give defenders more time, produce higher bounces, and stretch rallies longer. So either Alex Eala somehow got lucky in exactly the same way twice against one of the best defenders in women's tennis, or there is something happening inside this matchup that the scoreboard alone cannot explain. Elina Svitolina is not the kind of player you beat by accident. She has been ranked as high as world number 3, reached for Grand Slam semifinals, won an Olympic bronze medal in Tokyo, captured 20 career titles, and spent more than a decade frustrating aggressive players. Her greatest weapon is not overwhelming power. It is time. Svitolina keeps one more ball alive, then another, then another. Eventually, opponents start reaching for too much. They go closer to the line, swing harder than they need to, and suddenly the mistake arrives. Svitolina often does not have to force the error. She simply keeps the rally alive long enough for her opponent to create it. That is exactly why Eala presents such an unusual problem. At 21 years old, the Filipina arrived in Washington after a breakthrough run that had already changed how the tennis world viewed her. At Wimbledon, she defeated defending champion Iga Swiatek, reached the fourth round, and became the first Filipina in the Open era to reach the second week of a Grand Slam. Her ranking climbed to a career-high number 28, but Washington was supposed to offer another reality check. Instead, she kept winning. In the opening round, Eala faced Olympic champion Zheng Qinwen. She dropped the first set 4-6, then turned the match around completely, taking the next two sets 6-4, 6-1. Then came defending Washington champion Leila Fernandez. Eala won that match 6-2, 7-6, even though the second set nearly slipped away. So by the time she faced Svitolina, she had already taken out an Olympic champion and the reigning tournament champion in roughly 48 hours. But beating Svitolina required something different. Think of Svitolina as a chess player. She wants the point to keep developing because every additional shot gives her another opportunity to make you choose incorrectly. Eala wants something closer to poker. Fewer exchanges, bigger decisions, faster pressure. Whoever controls the length of the rally controls the argument. And Eala's first weapon is her court position. She stays close to the baseline. When Svitolina sends a deep ball designed to push her backward, Eala often takes it early, sometimes on the rise, and sends it back before Svitolina has fully recovered. That sounds like a small technical detail. It is not. A deep defensive shot buys Svitolina time. Time to recover toward the middle. Time to reset her feet. Time to rebuild the defensive position she has spent years perfecting. Eala keeps stealing that time. Instead of allowing Svitolina to recover before the next ball arrives, she attacks while Svitolina is still moving. Do that once and you create pressure. Do it over and over again and suddenly the great defender is not controlling the rally anymore. She is chasing it. Berlin could have been dismissed as a surface issue. Grass plays fast, the ball stays lower, and aggressive timing is rewarded. When Eala won 6-3, 6-4 there, you could reasonably say the conditions favored her style. Then Washington produced the exact same score. Hard court. Night conditions. Different bounce. Different environment. Same problem for Svitolina. During the second set, Svitolina moved ahead and looked ready to enter the part of the match she usually owns, the stretch where younger opponents become impatient. Instead, Eala broke back to reach 3-3, held for 4-3, and took 3 consecutive games without suddenly swinging harder. She simply refused to extend rallies on Svitolina's terms. But taking the ball early is not some secret tennis trick. Players are taught to do it all the time. The reason most cannot use it consistently against top defenders is that the margin is incredibly small. When you hit early, you have less time to read the bounce and less time to adjust. One mistake in timing and the ball can fly long. That is where Eala's execution becomes important. Against Fernandez, she committed only 4 unforced errors in the opening set while playing an aggressive, high-risk style. That combination, early ball striking without constantly giving points away, is what makes the tactic dangerous. Still, that explains only one part of her success. The second part showed up against Fernandez. Eala was down 1-5 in the second set against the defending Washington champion. Fernandez had won 5 straight games. A deciding set looked almost inevitable. Then Eala flipped the entire match. She won 6 of the final 7 games and crushed the tiebreak 7-1. Fernandez ended the match with 42 unforced errors. And when you place that comeback next to the rest of Eala's week, a pattern appears. Against Jing Qinwen, she lost the first set before winning 6-4, 6-1. Against Fernandez, she came back from 1-5. Against Svitolina, she responded again after Svitolina moved ahead in the second set. 3 matches. 3 moments where momentum turned against her. 3 recoveries. That is why calling Eala simply a giant killer may be the wrong description. A giant killer can have one incredible day when everything works. Eala's bigger weapon may be something different, her ability to recover without carrying the previous game into the next one. For most players, falling behind creates emotional debt. A lost break hurts confidence. Another lost game adds pressure. By the 1st of May, the psychological deficit can become larger than the scoreboard. Eala appears unusually good at resetting. She continues taking the ball early. She continues shortening points. She continues following the same tactical plan. That is especially dangerous against Svitolina because Svitolina's entire style depends partly on frustration accumulating. She makes the match expensive, one rally at a time, until the opponent finally pays the price. But what happens if the opponent does not carry that frustration forward? That is where the 2 layers lock together. Eala takes away Svitolina's time physically, and she limits Svitolina's psychological leverage by refusing to let one bad stretch dictate the next. That may explain why 2 matches on 2 different surfaces ended with the same 6-3, 6-4 score. And the pattern extends beyond Svitolina. For weeks before Washington, Eala defeated defending Wimbledon champion Iga Swiatek. In Washington, she defeated defending champion Leylah Fernandez, a former US Open finalist who had beaten Eala earlier in Stuttgart, 6-1, 6-4. This time, Eala turned the matchup around and won 6-2, 7-6 after trailing 1-5 in the second set. Then look at the ranking trajectory. In early 2025, Eala was around number 140 in the world. She climbed to number 32, reached number 28 by July, and after Washington moved into the top 25 for the first time. Her 2026 record stood at 32 wins and 18 losses. She won the biggest title of her career in Birmingham on grass and reached the semifinals in Berlin. That is not a 2-week hot streak. That is sustained movement. There is even another Svitolina connection. Earlier in the season in Auckland, Eala partnered American Eva Jovic in doubles and faced Svitolina, who was playing alongside Venus Williams. Eala and Jovic won that match as well. Singles and doubles, grass and hard court, Berlin, Washington and Auckland. The source material describes 3 meetings involving Eala and Svitolina and 3 Eala victories. But now comes a completely different test. Naomi Osaka. For Grand Slam titles. A huge serve. Explosive first strike tennis from both wings. Osaka is built to end rallies quickly, sometimes within the first few shots. That changes everything. Svitolina wanted more time, so Eala took it away. Osaka wants less time too. For perhaps the first time in this run, Eala could be the player getting rushed instead of the player doing the rushing. The two have never played a professional match against each other, so there is no head-to-head blueprint. Osaka reached this stage after beating Elizabetha Courto in 3 sets, while Jessica Pegular and Diana Schneider remained on the other side of the draw. And the stakes go beyond one trophy. With the US Open seeding cutoff approaching, Eala's ranking position could put her in position to be seeded at a Grand Slam for the first time, potentially helping her avoid a top 10 opponent in the opening round in New York. For Philippine tennis, the moment is already historic. No Filipino player, man or woman, has previously reached this kind of ranking territory. Eala has spoken about how returning home has become more complicated, with bigger crowds, increased attention and security becoming part of her new reality. So the question is no longer whether Alex Eala can beat elite players. She already has. The real question is where her breaking point actually is. Washington has not found it. Wimbledon did not find it. Svitolina could not find it twice. Maybe Naomi Osaka will. Or maybe Alex Eala's ceiling is still a whole lot higher than anybody realizes.